slow motion action sequence. Who knows if you live or die?
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel here at Cinematic Critics, and today we're going to be talking about the brand new film Deadpool and Wolverine, but this video will be a spoiler review. So with that being said, guys, if you have seen it, let's talk about it. I mean, dang, what a film. Like, this film was absolutely insane. So many cameos, so much stuff going on. If I missed something in this review, I apologize because there was just so much going on and I'm just going off the top. I'm not writing nothing down. But yeah, this film was absolutely insane. So guys, as we know, this is the third film in the Deadpool franchise. We see Deadpool getting pulled out from the TVA as they tell him, you know, his world's dying. He needs to come over to the MCU. And of course, Deadpool's like, hell yeah, I'm going to do that. Screw this. Until, you know, he's told by Mr. Paradox that, yeah, well, your family and friends are going to die. You can't bring them and there's just nothing you can do about it. Of course, you know, that causes Deadpool to be like, you know what? Screw you, I'm taking this little keypad, I'm getting out of here. So Deadpool takes the TVA keypad and he starts transporting into other realities, timelines, whatever you want to call it. He sees all kinds of Wolverine characters, you know, we see Henry Cavill make an appearance. We see the Hulk versus Wolverine, as we've all wanted to see for so long, even though it was only for about 4 to 5 seconds, which sucks, but it was still pretty cool to see. So, you know, as all this is going on, I'm just sitting here, my brain's just like about to explode, because I'm just like, holy cow, like we are seeing so much right now, and the film just started. Something else I really like about Deadpool 3 is the fact that, you know, it still kept its original flow. Like, Deadpool does not change in terms of the cussing, the killings. It's just as brutal, if not more. I thought this Deadpool film was a little bit more gorier in terms of the other Deadpool films, to be honest. And I apologize if you hear that noise. That is somebody mowing outside my house next door. I can't do anything about it. What I really found funny about when Deadpool was making his jokes is that how many times he broke the fourth wall. As he looked at us, the audience, and he's like shaking his head at whatever. And I like how he made the joke about Wolverine where they're like, man, the MCU is going to use you till you're 90. You're not going to stop. You know, that was pretty funny. I will say some jokes were funny, but the problem is, my theater, at least for me, people laughed at every damn joke that Deadpool said. Sometimes it was funny and sometimes it'd make you smile, but it wasn't that serious. And I had people like, and what was really scary is that there was a guy in front of me and he sounded, I shit you not, guys, he sounded just like Joaquin Phoenix. Every time something happened, he'd go, and I was like, oh god, I hope I make it out of here. Yep, that was a little creepy for me, I'm not gonna lie. I was a little freaked out. But besides the jokes, let's talk about the cameos that we continue to see. So we talked about the Wolverine cameos. So when Deadpool and Wolverine get thrown into the void, you know, we see all kinds of cameos. We see Chris Evans. I was not expecting to see Chris Evans return, especially as the Human Torch. That was awesome. And I really like when Deadpool's like, oh, he's going to say it, Avengers. And then Chris Evans cuts him off and he's like, flame on. And then he flies in the air. That was just so cool. And then, you know, some of the other cameos we saw was X-23. She returned. Of course, she's grown up now. She's not a kid. So having that little moment that we saw where Wolverine and X-23 were talking to each other, you know, the last time we saw Logan, he died. So to see this little conversation take place is just really cool to show you that, hey, the multiverse is real. There's different realities. Anything can happen. And then seeing Blade and seeing Gambit and seeing Elektra, that was really, really cool. I was not expecting to see any of them. I take that back. I did hear about Elektra possibly returning because I was like, well, she's a low-budget character. No offense, Jennifer Gardner. But she's a low-budget character, and I was like, well, I mean, they'll probably show her. They probably don't have to pay her that much. Her character wasn't that important. And then, you know, we saw Blade from, like, the early 2000s. That was pretty neat. I still haven't watched those films, so I wasn't really hyped, but it was still cool to see him return. And seeing Gambit return, that was really cool. Man, his fighting scenes with his cards was so cool. I really enjoyed watching him fight. You know, and flash forwarding to where we see Deadpool and Wolverine talking to Cassandra Nova, and she finally opens up and she lets them return to their universe. I kind of got bummed out because when she opened that portal, that was neat to see that she has that power, as she talks about how she had sorcerers come into her world and they died and she was able to take their ring. That was cool to hear about, but I thought it was going to be like a really big MCU moment where like Deadpool and Wolverine were jumping into something bigger. Yeah, people talked about Endgame being a possibility or something else. I knew that wasn't going to happen because I knew they did not have the budget to be doing something like that. I guess what I'm saying is that I hoped it was going to be something more serious, you know what I mean? It could have been something cooler, besides sending Deadpool and Wolverine back to his timeline. And then after that, when we saw all the Deadpool variants, that was so funny to see. You know, and then hearing Blake Lively's voice, we all knew that she was going to be in the film. We all knew about that. And then hearing Matthew McConaughey's voice as Cowboy Deadpool, that was pretty neat. That's what I really liked about this film, is the fact that they had so many different little cameos and little teases to other things that you wouldn't really expect. It made the film overall really satisfying to watch. But something else I just really wasn't too big of a fan on is the fact that Cassandra Nova, she was terrifying because, I mean, she, like, for example, what she did to Chris Evans' character, the Human Torch, she literally just ripped his skin off his body and he just exploded. Like, that was disgusting and that was terrifying. And something else she did that was creepy is when she could put her hands through the back of people's heads and like get their thoughts by like massaging the inside of their head and playing with their eyeballs. That was really gross, and it grossed me out for sure. But I wish they had a better backstory for her. I wish they kind of went into more depth of why she's there. I mean, they talked about why she was there, but they didn't really explain why she was there. Like, what her purpose was. Do you know what I mean? And I wish they would have given a hint to, like, maybe for Patrick Stewart's character, Professor X, or some little cameo of that. That would have been really cool, but they didn't. You just knew she was the bad guy because you were told so by the other variants who were stuck in the void. So I guess what I'm saying is that I wish they kind of improved on that side of the story of why she's the villain. But she still did a very good job. I mean, hell, she was still very terrifying to watch. And the only other complaint I have is I just wish it was longer. I mean, so much stuff was going on. We haven't seen multiverse crap like this in a long time, especially with all these cameos, these funny moments of breaking the fourth wall. You just don't see that in the MCU. Now, don't get me wrong when I say this. I'm really glad that, well, I'm assuming, you know, Hugh Jackman's back for a while because Deadpool made the jokes and he's back. Like, he's not dead anymore. But I kind of wish that at the very end, when they had to sacrifice themselves to fix the timeline, that Wolverine sacrificed himself because he didn't help anybody else in his world. He let them die, and this would have been a good, like, redemption arc for his version. But they didn't. Like, he survived it. And, of course, you know, he came back, and now they're like, oh, wait, now we got Wolverine now for the next few Marvel movies. Let's go. It just felt like I was excited, but at the same time, I was like, you could have... It could have been more... You could have made it more realistic and had a bigger purpose for him, if that makes any sense. And something else to mention, guys, is where do we go from here? Like, what's going to happen now that Deadpool and Wolverine together, their timeline's happy, he can jump around whenever he feels like it. What is next for Deadpool? But something I can say for sure is that yesterday at San Diego Comic-Con, Deadpool and Wolverine had a private screening again. Hugh Jackman was there, Ryan Reynolds was there, Jennifer Gardner was there, Chris Evans was there, all the cameos from the film, they were there talking about it. And after that, when the people who got to go to that event left, they had a huge drone show outside for Deadpool and Wolverine, like a little send-off after being inside the comic book panel, and it was so cool to see. They had the songs playing, they had Madonna songs throughout the film playing as they were showing the little designs and the movements. And then something else that we got to see, guys, was a tease for the Fantastic Four, and sure enough, we saw Galactus rising out of the sky. But hey, that's what gets me excited, because I feel like Marvel's like, hey, you know what? We've messed up in the past. I'm not saying we haven't. But besides the success of Deadpool and Wolverine, now look at Fantastic Four. Look what we're working on right now to please you guys. We're not going to see Deadpool and Wolverine for probably a while. Probably not until Secret Wars, as everyone keeps talking about. That film's probably not coming out until 2026, 2027, because they're still trying to find a director, which I talked about in my other video if you want to watch it, about the Russo brothers possibly returning to direct Avengers 5 and 6. But that is probably the last time that we're going to see Deadpool and Wolverine until Secret Wars. I mean, heck, when Deadpool and Wolverine got thrown into the void and they started to fight, if you look to the left, you can see the Secret Wars comic that was laying on the ground. So if I had to guess, that's probably when we're going to see them again. So guys, that wraps up today's video. If you stuck around the whole time, I really appreciate it. Show some support by subscribing, hitting the like button, all that good stuff. And with that being said, that's it. Thank you guys very much for watching this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Have a good day.